Hi everyone. Well, I am finishing up Bible study winter session, and with the ladies, I always like to, well, I don't always, but if I have the time and the focus, I like to give them a little watercolor with a verse on it. So this week I'm bringing you into my studio where I'm creating these little gifts. Sorry about my curly hair getting in the way, but this is a really fun way to create small floral watercolors and give them as gifts, make name tags, put them in the mail, use them in your journal. Just a wonderful, relaxing way to celebrate spring, celebrate people, and bring beauty into your world and other people's worlds too. So I hope you enjoy these sweet watercolors. Hey everyone, well, we're back again and we're starting back into our spring series, and I thought we would paint tulips, but I'm working on a project. I'm just making some small gifts for the ladies in a Bible study group I've been. So I was having fun last night creating some small pictures of tulips, some splatter art, but I particularly was leaving space so that I could either write a little note or a verse from what we've been studying this week. But this is a really fun way to both create some art and then write a note card or write something on the back and then stick it in the mail or stick it in, you could easily put it as a gift card, a gift on a bag, but just a fun way to make smaller art. I like to make a couple at a time. I had made this one before, and we made a similar one to a hydrangea with purple and pink last year. So, but it's really fun, right? Just the dynamic different colors that you can use, but we're gonna be using the oranges and yellows today. I'm gonna use some gamboge and some green, and we're just going to use one color green and then use yellow to blend. So I'm going to set these up, and I'm going to go ahead, you can see too where I've taped everything so that I have taped it where I have like, I don't know, like a 3/4 of an inch on the top and bottom, and we're going to just be painting smaller sizes on these. This one I had done a whole longer size, which was really nice, and maybe on one of them I will do that. In fact, on this one, I think I will. I'll go ahead and I'm just gonna peel it off like that. I'll put this tape down here and then rip this off here. We're just going to be do a little improvising here, and then I actually had an extra piece of tape. So, okay, that's great. I'll put this piece of tape down here, and then I'll just have some splatters and I'll have some blank space right there. So that's fantastic. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead, I'm just going to sketch out some tulips. I had bought some fresh tulips and they're just so beautiful. And just looking at the tulips, you can certainly grab a picture, grab a bunch from Trader Joe's or the grocery store or your farmer's market. There's so many beautiful places that have tulips right now. I'm going to just do a slight sketch with the micron pen. And this one, I'm just going to do a single bulb, and then I'll have those beautiful, beautiful leaves coming out on the side here, even maybe one going over where the stem is. And I'm even going to I think I'm even going to put another leaf right over there. So just a nice wild looking tulip. They're such beautiful flowers. I'm going to go over here, do one that's a little bit more closed, and then over on the side have one that's kind of opening up a little bit more. I always love it too when they start to open a bit and spread their blooms, right? They always kind of have this wonderful look of just a sense of orderliness is not quite this, I guess, elegance as they unfold. And their petals are big and they just envelop all the way down. Sometimes you can only see a couple and sometimes you can see more. So I love creating these beautiful flowers. And if you want to be dramatic, you can create like a really big one too. And we'll do that with the final one. I think with this one, I'm going to go ahead and just create some really dramatic leaves and have them even going over some of those stems. Almost the leaves are coming around. Maybe I'll even do one right over, maybe right over here, just coming out of this on the side and pulling it back in. That looks really nice. And then over here, making sure you can see this one too. Let me come in just a little bit. On this one, I'm going to do a bit more of a close-up. So like this guy was almost like a close-up of the flower. And I'm going to just do one not quite in the middle, slightly to the side here. And just going ahead, I've got the main petal coming up like this. I've got one on the side that we can just see ever so slightly. And then again, this guy coming up on the side, over on this side, and I can see one peeking out right over here. I even see one right hiding back there. Bringing them all around. Again, a really light sketch. The nice, beautiful, elegant neck and that stem. And I'm going to have a larger leaf right over here, or one of those stalks, and then this one, a smaller one coming up to that side. There we go. Okay, and even this one, there's going to be in a little bit of a curving in. Okay, so now that I have all of my sketches done, I'm going to start with a little bit of splattering. Now, I want to be really careful here. With the splattering, I am going to go ahead and grab some, let me find my paper here. So I have some extra paper that I can cover things with. That's really helpful. I have some smaller ones too, where I think like I want to maybe just for the beginning, maybe just like this, I want to just do some splattering of the yellow. The bigger the brush, the larger the splatters are going to be. So if you want smaller splatters, just grab a smaller brush. I've got my paint really wet, and I was teaching a couple weeks ago and just reminding everyone, get your paint nice and wet. Like get it soaked up and get that color nice and bold. You want it really wet. And then saturate your brush, and then I'm just going to start splattering, and I'm going to do this one with lots of yellow over here, and really we can get yellow on the green too. Since we are using yellow and orange and green, the yellow we're going to incorporate into the petals, or into the stems, I'm sorry, so it's not such a big deal. But like if you're going to use pink on this one, I think I will use some pink as well. We have to be careful of that. The pink actually creates a pretty beautiful bright orange, so it's not even going to really be pink. It's going to end up being a lot of yellow and then some orange. I have some gamboge just to show you what the gamboge is going to be beautiful. And then just so you can see, if you want to use cadmium orange, it's more opaque and it's pretty orange. So I'm going to splatter up here too. Splatter around. That looks really nice. And then what I recommend doing, I'll put a little bit of gamboge over here. And then what I start to do is I start to just use that paint and manipulate the colors so that they start to blend together. We still want the sense of some splattering, but then I'm also going to just let the colors do their thing. Now on the final one, we won't do so much splattering, and I'll show you what I would do if I'm just going to go ahead and drop the paint in. You can see here where I use the pink right in there. See how it's not really pink? It's turning into a really nice orange. And what I can do too is I can take some pink and then just also dip it where I would see more of that color, and just let the watercolor do its beautiful work. And that is so pretty. I'm going to put some up here and these tips of the color where I see that color really bold, and that looks really nice. I'm going to move over now, add a little bit more right in there. And if you think to yourself, oh, it's getting too bold, just move the color around a bit. You could use your paper towel and smush it a bit, but I would recommend just balancing out the color for maybe a little bit more over here, or even just adding some more yellow. You can even drop and see how that's going to move things around too. I'm going to pull some yellow down to the stem, and then I'm going to come on over here. If you saw any place where you had paint coming out and it was coming out beyond the flower that you don't want it to do that, take a dry brush and just move it off just like that. Okay, so now we're going to continue on, and I'm going to go ahead and go over on this one. And we're going to go ahead and also let that one just blend beautifully. I'm going to use more of just a yellow in this particular tulip and use some of the gamboge to create some shadowing. I'm going to pull down the stem because you'll notice in tulips that their stems are a lighter green. So I usually wash it down with the yellow first and then just add a little bit of green. I'm going to add some yellow right in here where I see some yellow, a lighter green, almost like a yellow green. And then we're going to come back with the green over here. Okay, on this little guy, I'm not going to do so much splattering. I'm going to go ahead and I am just going to go, if you prefer just to start painting and adding that color, but keep it wet because we want to add those colors in. And one of the things I really love about tulips, the tulips that I picked up, they have this really just beautiful, almost red orange along the edge. So I'm going to try to imitate that a little bit. And down here where it gets deeper, and then just moving around here, I now have both colors on my brush, and I am just going ahead and adding that in too. I'm going to pick up some orange here and add that in right in there. Now you might have gotten a bunch of tulips that are a variety of colors, and you want to add in some of those. So you could always pick up an orange, or I have like I think this is a cadmium red light hue, and I could even go over here on my third, and that is really bold, isn't it? But it's beautiful. So I'm going to go ahead and we're creating that beautiful color. But I have the yellow at the bottom as well. So I'm going to go ahead and move that yellow up here. And then I am going to let those colors just blend together. Now that was a lot of yellow. So I think I will go ahead and I'm just going to smash it like that and let the colors blend a bit. Coming back over here and adding in some more, just a drop of red on this one. Just a drop. Okay. Now, I will go ahead and add some splatters up here. I'm going to grab some red. I'm going to just put some red over here of that cadmium. I'm going to grab some orange. We're using colors that are pretty friendly together. The one thing that we do want to be cognizant of is not letting the red and the green blend together, because red and green just make brown. So be cognizant of that if you are using red or pink. But these are all really fun spring colors, and they're just a lot of fun to create. So you saw, I saw some red right in here. That's not a big deal. What I can do is I can either dry it off, or I can let it dry, I can mop it off, I should say, or I can let it dry before I add any sort of green. And then go ahead and on your stems, just pull down that yellow, and then we're going to add the green in just a little bit. And I'll go ahead and just tap out my red that was right there. Okay, now let's pick up some green. And we're going to really start adding some bold color here. So I'm going to come over on this one, and I'm just going to go ahead and start adding that beautiful, really beautiful green. And again, if you want to use, I've got a pretty small brush right now. I'm going to go in right here. If I wanted to pick up a bigger brush and then just almost set that paint down, I can take the end of my brown brush and just pull that down. And this is like a size 8, I think. And I'm going to let that move right in there. And my yellow it just about dried. Watercolor dries so fast, which is wonderful, but it can also be problematic. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rinse this brush off really well, pick up some yellow, and I'm going to just drop in some yellow in here, and I'm going to put some yellow right in here as well. I'm going to come back over here, move in some yellow, that yellow green really that I have going. Just lightly touch that up. I'm going to pick up the green. Now I want to be cognizant in here and making sure, let me come in a little bit closer because I'm coming in, okay, good. Let me back up just a tad bit. Right in here, in this guy right here, I want to be cognizant that I don't get green into my yellow, that we don't have a green tulip bulb all of a sudden. So I'm going to go back to my smaller brush. I'm just going to come on through, and I did it. I hit that yellow. I didn't mean to do that. So I'm going to fix that. I'm going to fix that by grabbing my dry brush and just scooting that green out, out, out you go. Okay, there we go. And then I'll come back later and we can clean that up a bit. I'm going to come back. There's the right brush. And we're just going to move this down. I was actually not going to be recording today. It was scheduled for later in the week, and then I looked at the forecast and it is going to be raining for the rest of the week. And I realized, oh, I actually have some sunlight today. I better make videos while the sunshine lasts, right? As the saying goes. So we have beautiful natural light.
I don't know if you can hear those birds out there, but they are bold and beautiful in their voices and their singing. I went for a walk early this morning, and already the birds were up. They were happy. The sun was rising. It's been a couple of days of rain, so it was just beautiful after the rain to see the sunrise coming up. Just gorgeous. Okay, I'm going to rinse off that brush. I'm going to pick up some yellow. I'm going to just drop it in here. And we're going to come back and add some more green in just a second. It's not going to stay yellow. I'm going to go ahead and pick up a little bit of green. I'm going to come back over on this one and lift this out. Let me just see how we are on 14 minutes, so that's fantastic. The sketching added just a couple minutes, right? I'm going to come back over here and then just add in a little bit of a darker green right in here. And you can see too, I'm leaving some white spaces in, just letting the watercolor do its magic. I do want to create this sense too of maybe where the light's hitting. If the light's coming this way, we might see some of those darker edges, right? Okay, and on this one, I love that splattering. I'm going to take some of that yellow and just splatter right out here, a little bit of the gamboge. Same over here. Just doing a lovely little splatters. I'm going to pick up some green over here and just come down right like this. And that looks really, really nice. And just moving that down. You can see too where we have, I was really close when I was sketching. So if you're sketching with me, maybe keep those a little bit farther away. One of the things that I like to do is I like to keep, I'm going to add that green right here. Keep a lot of the similar colors going, so that same, I'm going to pick up that a little bit of that gamboge for the leaves over here, and I'm going to add that in, and that looks really bold, right? But when we add in the green, it may not be so bold after all. I'm going to pick up some green, and I'm going to lay that down, and we're just going to kind of let that move in here. Just such a fun way to create some spring cards. I was writing a few letters out last night, and it would be fun to incorporate some art into them. A bookmark, right? As we all, maybe it's a bookmark you like to read, or even like for cookbooks, just being able to put in bookmarks of your favorite recipes. I know I start to just get a little more energy of trying new things as the weather warms up. It's been a wonderful season of working on some new projects and just honestly walking a lot, kind of thinking about things, what we're going to be working on this year, where we're going. But now that the weather's changing, I start to get a little bit more of doing some more things, trying some new things out. Okay, and I'm going to come back over here with the green. I'm going to come back. I want to add some few splatters in a couple of places. So first I want to take some of that orange and that kind of that pinky color, and since I was using that up here, and do some splattering. And I'm going to be careful, a little bit's going to get into the leaf, but I'm using such a tiny brush, I'm not too bothered. I'm going to go ahead and pull this back up, and that looks really, really nice, right? I think these are coming out really lovely. Just for finishing up, if you want to make sure you have some green splatters as well. So, making sure you come back, get some green splatters to just bring that eye all the way around the painting. I'm going to put some green up here. Again, if the paintbrush you're using is large, you'll have more of a tendency to almost create a water stain, but this is like a size 2 paintbrush. It's super small. You can also let everything dry and then come back and add some more detail. And I will sometimes do that, especially if I got a little bit too close to some of my leaves and petals and like over here, and I just know it needs to dry, and then I'll come back and add some pen work and do a little bit more of detail. Also, if you notice, our darkest area should be kind of towards the bottom of the painting, right? Especially with considering where the light is coming from. So if you need to darken up the bottom of your leaves, make sure you want to do that like right in here. The other thing I like to do too is adding some depth of color to the bottom of the tulips. Sometimes tulips are lighter. They almost go from tips being red and then they tone down a little bit at the end, and others have more color. So kind of look at your tulip, what colors that you're seeing on there, and make some adjustments appropriately. I'm going to go ahead and add in a little bit gamboge over here. And then even over here, and then on this guy, I just see a little bit of, I'm gonna add just a hint of that red. I've got quite a bit of water because I don't want it too bold. I'm gonna come back up here, but that is bold. I'm gonna add just a little bit, tips right in here, and I mean just a little bit. Just where I maybe saw some on the edges. And then I'm gonna come back with the yellow and add that in so it kind of blends a bit, and even in here so it blends a bit in there. That's why it doesn't look, that way it doesn't look like a hard line. Aren't these pretty? And so easy. If you need to liven it up, just take some of that cadmium yellow, just do a nice layer of splatters everywhere, and you are good to go. It's going to be so much fun to take off the paint. Remember, when you take off the paint, I typically will almost tease it a little bit and then pull it down as I take it off so I don't rip the paper. If you do rip the paper, add some gesso on it and that'll smooth out that watercolor paper. These are going to be so pretty, and what a fun way to something to add to your journal or to your snail mail, or even as like if you have a spring party of some sort, you can make little name cards. Lots of ideas. All right, you guys, have a beautiful week, and I'll see you soon.